The most powerful connections I've ever made have been in the real conversations that I've had in between the lines of any event that I've attended, any program I've attended or been a part of, and believe me when I say I've done masterminds, I've done coaching, I've done programs, I've done all of it. I've been to the exhibitions as a guest, I've been there as a speaker, I've been there as an exhibitor myself. I go to the conferences. I love, attending business conferences, industry conferences. I go to the awards nights. I do all the things. And I'm sure you too have been a part of some sort of community group at some level, whether it be conference, exhibitions, programs, masterminds, online coaching, etc. Right? I'm sure you've done all the things. And today's episode is about the power of community, connection, and conversation. And that is what the Green Room represents. I'm going to tell you what the Green Room is later in the show, but right now I just want to focus on those three elements: community, connection, and conversation, and share some of my stories too. I think, obviously I'm always keeping it real here on the show, on the podcast. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about, what the Green Room is from a literal sense to how we can implement the same principles into our own lives and businesses to really enrich what we have right now. Because let me tell you, nothing shifts the needle more than having a sounding board and being amongst your peers and being able to have those real conversations. Anyway, let's jump into the show. I'm Josephine Lancuba, and welcome to Studio Talent Collective, the podcast for dance and performing arts studio owners. Here we share industry insights, inspiring stories, and real talk to help you build a thriving studio and in-house talent agency. As a performing arts business coach and talent agent, I'm all about dreaming big and growing together as a community. You're in the right place. Let's leap in. Hello and welcome to the show, everyone. It's so awesome to still be here years later, week after week. This is a connection point in itself, except we don't get to meet in person or see each other's faces. It's so funny how you can run a podcast this long and see the thousands of downloads that come through, yet never ever know who's listening. Occasionally I get a message, which I love, like I'll get a DM from somebody who listens to the show. So thank you for that. And by the way, if that's you can always send me a DM at Studio Talent Collective on Instagram. But yeah, honestly, I love when people do reach out and send me a DM and they just say hi, and they talk about a show, an episode or something, a takeaway, or they ask questions, etc. So I love that. And I think connection is the key component that a lot of us are missing, because business is so lonely sometimes. I mean, I've made a concerted effort to not just be in all the things. I've actually taken a step back and I'm very, very selective now of what I am a part of. But I also am very mindful to keep, my accountability group every Monday. I have, work rooms that I attend, and a couple of, community networking groups that I still attend. I'm very mindful in 2026 that it's all about being in the room. So I'm going to be at all the exhibitions in Australia. Well, not all, but I'm saying most. So yeah, I will be at those events in 2026. So that is important to me. So I'm going to be at Dance Teacher Expo, Australian Dance Festival, Victorian Dance Festival. So I'm going to be, at the events in 2026 because I am craving real conversation, real connection, real, community connection. And when I think about a green room, and I want to tell you about this because this is really important. And I've got something that I'm launching soon called the Green Room, but let's just bench that for a second. The Green Room in its real form, in its actual form, is essentially, traditionally speaking, the space, performers wait, they prepare, they breathe, they calm their nerves. It's a private, quiet, supportive room behind the scenes. And it's a place where real conversations happen. We can't underestimate the power of that. And I'm not talking about the polished on stage version, I'm talking about that safe space where people decompress. They get reassurance from their peers. They gather themselves. It's just a place to connect. And that's why the symbolism really matters when I talk about the green room, because I believe every leader, whether, whatever your craft is in the performing arts, if you're a studio owner, choreographer, etc., whatever you do, we all need a green room. Like, if you've ever, I've presented at so many events as a speaker, etc., and I love most those events where I have even if it's just a backstage staff room or a backstage area where you can just have some quiet moment and just chat with people within your circle collectively just before you go out, and it really brings the energy down. It's very hard to kind of be amongst the hype and just jump out there, but that green room is that safe space. So, I actually felt inspired by this. One of my Studio Talent Collective members, who's a talent manager inside of my talent agency there, she actually said to me once, because we do quarterly accountability calls inside there, and she actually said to me that, she loves the master classes and all the things and the workrooms and all the bits, but she actually gets the most out of those calls where it's just conversation and soundboarding and bouncing off other peers, where she can share, her experience. She can get feedback on her ideas. She can hear from others that have been through what she's been through, that sort of thing. And I think that listening in on those other people's experiences is really powerful. And that is something that I truly value. And it's why I stay committed to being inside these sorts of connection groups, these community groups. And I think it's really lonely out there. I think business is lonely, and I just don't think we have to do it alone. We can make a choice. Making choices actually is a big part of my 2026 strategy. I don't need permission to be invited to the party. I'm going to invite myself if I need to. And I know that sounds kind of weird and a bit upfront. There's certain industry events that I'm like, I should really have been invited to that. And why wasn't I when my, that particular peer was there or whatever? And sometimes it's not personal. Sometimes it's just, for whatever reason, you weren't on the list and you just needed to reach out and ask to be on the list. Sometimes we get so caught up in our own heads, and the stories we tell ourselves, which are sometimes debilitating. And, it can be as well in a studio environment, for example, parent feedback, negative parents getting a complaint. Sometimes you just want to vent about a staff member. And where do you do that? Where do you vent? You can't vent in a mastermind group because that's not the time and place. You can't vent to your teammates because that's really unprofessional and shows poor leadership. You can't necessarily go home and vent to your partner because they don't really get what you're talking about, or your family because they're just not in your world, and they listen and all that jazz, but they don't really get it. I think especially with family and friends, they can be so well intended, but the truth is they just don't get it. Who agrees with me there? So I think the green room represents for us as leaders, that behind the scenes reality of being a studio owner or a performing arts leader. And when I talk about performing arts leaders, I mean choreographers, producers, talent agents, whatever, right? I just think that sometimes, we hold space for everyone else. So students, families, clients, staff, other creatives in our field. But where is your space? Where is your safe space to exhale and fall? You've got to create that for yourself. That's what I'm creating for myself and for my peers. And so, I was thinking I was just going to do something amongst a few friends that I was going to invite into like a collective little incubator of safe space catch-ups per month. And then I realized that I could formalize this a little bit more and actually make it more accessible for our community as a whole. Because leadership does feel isolating. It can anyway. And even when you're surrounded by people, it still can feel lonely. Like I said, I'll tell my husband about stuff. The truth is he doesn't care. It's not that he doesn't care about me. It's just he doesn't get it. That's the reality. That pressure to be on and in control all the time as well, when you are a leader, is exhausting, right? Everybody, every leader, every studio owner, every creative needs a place to take the mask off. That's what I believe. Before I started connecting with other women, and this happened during COVID, prior to that, I did feel quite isolated. Even though I was surrounded by people, I felt isolated. So I made a concerted effort to really join particular networking groups and conversations and make some friends. And I'm so happy to say that today I have beautiful business besties, my business BFFs. I love them to death. And I don't know how I could do business without them. If you don't have a business bestie on speed dial or a BFF on speed dial that gets you, or someone you can connect with on a regular basis, whether it be a paid space or a free space, then I think that, you don't realize what you're missing out on. It's sort of like before you get your license and you drive. I was in my 20s when I got my license. I was a late bloomer. And I used to catch the bus and the train everywhere. Once I got my car, I don't even know how I ever managed to exist in this world without a car. I don't get it. I don't get how I did that. But I did it. I did it out of necessity, and I was just being as resourceful as I could at the time. And I know that's what you're doing too. If you don't have these community spaces where you can actually just be yourself and just vent or share the wins. And I'm not talking about masterclasses, to-do lists, checklists, homework, scrap all that. I'm talking about real friendships and connection and community. If you don't have that, then you don't even know what you're missing out on. And when you get it, when you find it, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did business without it. That's the truth. That's how I really, truly feel about it. And so, the other part of it is when you find these connections and these people that you can lean on and really have those real conversations and soundboard with, bounce off, essentially, you will be shocked at how fast you will propel your business forward. And even personal life stuff, all of it. It's just the best. And so, I just wanted to share that. So many groups focus on teaching, courses, more to-do lists. And this is the gap I noticed in our industry. But almost no spaces exist for purely connection and conversation for our industry. Actually, I don't even know any. I don't know one conversation and connection space for our performing arts leadership industry that exists. And so that is what I realized is missing in our industry. So that's when the idea started to simmer to create the Greenroom. What if there was a green room for us? Yeah, a place to drop the to-do lists and just be human together. Yeah, that's how the Green Room was actually born. So before I finish today, I want to let you know that you are welcome to join me and our beautiful community that we are about to launch inside of this Green Room space. It's called the Green Room, if you haven't guessed it already. It's a social club. It is a social club for performing arts studio owners and industry leaders. So there's 2 monthly connection meetups online. No recordings, guys. No recordings, no pressure, no homework. And the reason I'm not recording it as well is because I want it to be a safe space where you can say whatever you want and it's not documented. Like, this isn't like record it and watch it later. Nah, BS to that. This is show up, be a part of the community. Now, you don't have to attend all of them. You attend what you can. Like, this is drop in, like, this is the vibe. This is, again, this isn't a to-do list. You don't have to feel guilty if you didn't show up because you had to, drop your husband at the hospital like I did this week, right? You don't have to feel guilty. It's like no big deal. It's like whatever, you drop in, okay? And so there will be a founding member window opening this December 2025, and I've got some very special things for you inside. This is, an invitation. So if you want to start next year feeling connected and supported, I'd love to have you inside. I'd love you to be in the green room with us. So you don't need to do business alone. Yeah, this is a reminder that leadership is easier when you have people in your corner. If you want to check it out, all you need to do is simply head to studiotalentcollective.com/greenroom. I'll pop a link in the show notes. This is the most accessible offer you will ever see in your life in our industry. It is a no-brainer, guys. This isn't like some high-ticket BS, like mastermind anything. It's not what this is. This is a social club. Yeah, and I am so excited for it. I cannot wait to meet you. I cannot wait to connect with you. Like face to face on a screen, face to face. I mean, my goal eventually, like at first we want to do it online, but what I'd love to eventuate, I actually did a survey and with my current clients and got them to answer some questions. And a lot of people ticked that they would also be open to and be interested in in-person events or retreats in the future. So, but this is an online space, and then with the possibility of some in-person catch-ups to really bring that community together. But this is a social club, guys, for our industry. Poppers popping right now, streamers flying in the air. I am so excited. I can't wait to see you there. studiotalentcollective.com/greenroom. Catch the very special December offer. Join now and be one of our founding members. Check it out. Link is in the show notes. If you have any questions at all, you can DM me at Studio Talent Collective or send me an email. I'll pop a link and the deets in the show notes for you. Have a beautiful day. This episode is brought to you by Studio Talent Collective, helping you go from studio owner to talent manager with confidence. Ready to start your own in-house talent agency? Connect with me at josephinelancuba.com or via the links in the show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, please share, rate, and review. Thanks for listening and keep shining.